All right. Hey, everybody. This is Cody from IT, and welcome to our third episode of IT Live. Now, if you're just joining us, I hope you had a great holiday, a great Thanksgiving if you celebrated, whether that was with family or whether you were social distancing over Zoom or whatever. Really hope that you had a great holiday. And we're really coming back, hitting the ground running. Especially as we get closer and closer to the holidays. I think we're all realizing that this school year is going to be kind of crazy for the whole school year, right? This is not going to be a temporary thing where we're online, virtual, hybrid instruction, right? And I think from what I'm hearing, especially even in myself as an itinerant TBI, creating a lot of anxiety as to far as how are we going to get our students really caught up this school year? And it's a really great question. I wanted to talk today. Well, first of all, I want to say if you are watching live and you do have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I have it right next to me here. I'll kind of be looking over every so often, taking a look at that chat box. So if you do have questions, if you have comments, if you have suggestions, anything really, throw it up in the chat box, and I'll be happy to kind of respond as necessary as we see fit. And I really encourage that because I do want this IT live these sessions to be not just YouTube videos. I want them to be really interactive so we can start to have these really powerful conversations in the vision field. So it's not just me talking to you guys. I want you guys to be involved as well. So please feel free to put things in the chat. The first and foremost, if anything is not working, like if you can't hear my audio or anything, let me just check my audio really quick. Please let me know in the chat. Okay. Perfect. Let's see here. All right, everything looks okay. Yeah, and it sounds like audio is working. Okay, so thank you for being with me for a second. I just wanted to make sure everything's good. So what are we going to be talking about today? So if you are just joining us, you can see that we're going to be talking about Google Classroom and learning management systems and some navigation sequences. Before we get started, I want to remind you, first of all, that these IT Live episodes are not fundamentals, right? These are not the ABCs. Last week, we talked a little bit about taking this and thinking about this in terms of Braille instruction. What these IT Live episodes are and these navigation sequences are the full contracted Braille books, right? We're not going to give a fully contracted Braille book to a first grader who's just learning their letters. If your student is at that point where they are just starting using technology, interacting with technology, especially virtually, these routines and sequences that we're going to go through are not where to start, right? I would start with fundamentals. Now, before we even begin, I want to talk about where you would find those fundamentals, because it's really hard, especially in the vision field, to find areas in which those fundamentals are even covered. So what I'm going to do today is show you first our website, itvision.com. And I want to show you, that's eye.t.vision.com. If you are signed up with us, you go up here to free resources. This is where you would find start with your fundamentals. Today, we are going to be covering a lot of fundamentals with these screen reader cheat sheets, our JAWS cheat sheet, our NVDA cheat sheet, and our Chromevox cheat sheet. We're going to be talking about a lot of the methods inside those cheat sheets. If you want those, all you need to do is sign up for our free course on Introduction to Screen Readers. You can get all of those resources right off the bat. I'm going to show you that course really quick. I'm going to go to My Courses, Introduction to Screen Readers. And in the first module, you can scroll all the way down, and these three cheat sheets are here, along with our really cool scope and sequence of all of the objectives that you should start with. This is the fundamentals right here. These are the fundamentals that you should be starting with. Of course, there are many other places to get those. If you're starting a screen reader like JAWS, you can go to Freedom Scientific's website. If you're starting with the Braille Note Touch, you can go to HumanWare's website. This is just an option. But I would say these IT Live episodes are the end, right? What can we do with those fundamentals once we have learned them, once our learner has learned them, right? These are the end. And each episode, we're going to be looking at a new navigation sequence. Now, of course, today, our navigation sequences are going to be focused on learning management systems, right? Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, all of these are very, very similar and really build off of those fundamental skills using a device. Now, I want to talk for a second before we even get started on devices. I've gotten a lot of questions just in the past week of which device should my learner be using, right? So if a learner is just beginning, whether they're in elementary school, middle school, high school, if they're just beginning to use technology, where do you start, right? And I want to have this conversation with you all on which device to start on. Now, a lot of people will start learners on really simple devices like the iPad and the Braille Note Touch, things that are really easy to wrap their head around, right? And that's fine. That's okay. And I think like we had talked about last week, it's really important to have your students on multiple devices. That's really important. But the thing is that is not the only part of the story, not just having students on multiple devices, but really making sure that the computer, right, a laptop or a desktop is included in that, okay? Now, why do I say that a computer is necessary? A computer is necessary. Why is that true? Well, if you think about us trying to get our students to be employed or employable, you think about people who are employed, people who are currently employed, most likely you all, is the option to not being able to use a computer acceptable in your employment? No, it's not. What we want from our students is we want them to be able to sit down at a computer like a desktop computer that their employer has provided them that they've never accessed before. They're able to download NVDA with some help, but then use it automatically. All right. Now, of course, they can go back to their iPad, they can go back to their iPhone, and they can go back to their Braille Note Touch, but they have to be able to use a computer. Now, why are we talking about what we should start, which device we should start on? Well, because if there's not a reason to not do a computer, then you should be starting your students on a computer. When I was in my last job, I was a technology instructor at a school for the blind, and I was starting JAWS instruction with my first graders. It's totally possible, I promise. And the reason why this is really important to bring out now is because we are now realizing that not only are school districts, they seem to be unprepared for this sudden shift to online instruction, but because they are unprepared, our students are the ones that are left behind. And guess what? We have to make sure that we can give them access to tools that are not specialized, right? When budgets are being thrown out the window, a Braille Note Touch is just not in the cards for our students, unfortunately. They have to be able to access their curriculum with a computer. So today, in the spirit of that, we are going to be talking about navigation sequences with Google Classroom on a computer, on a laptop, on a desktop with a screen reader. I'm going to try to jump back and forth between JAWS and NVDA for this one to give everybody a little bit of love. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing today. If you do have any comments, please put them down in the description. So as I said, this is a navigation sequence. I'm going to be referencing a lot our ABCs. Now, what are the ABCs of screen reader instruction? For us, it's going to be method 1, method 2, and method 3. If you're not familiar with that, definitely visit our website. I'll go over them very quickly here. Method 1 is navigating by clickable object. That means using tab and shift tab to go between items that are clickable, right? At method 2 is quick keys. So that means navigating by specific element type, whether that's headings, whether that's visited links, unvisited links, lists, frames, regions, all these different types of elements, navigating with them by specific element type, just down the page, okay? And then method 3 is elements lists, where we're opening up that list, that dialog box of all of the element types, and then quickly navigating to the one that we want, okay? So that's method 1, method 2, and method 3. If you wanna know more about that, visit our website, itvision.com. Take a look at our free course, and it kind of starts you on that process of learning those 3 methods. Now, we are going to do 2 parts today in our IT Live episode. The first part is going to be covering that navigation sequence, showing you what a navigation sequence on Google Classroom will look like. And we're going to be, each step I'm going to be referencing, this is a method 1 step, or this is a method 2 step. And then what we're going to do in the second half is showing how we can keep data on that and how we can use those ABCs in combination with our navigation sequence to figure out what fundamental skills our learner still needs to figure out, still needs instruction on. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in our 2 parts today. What I would recommend, if you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about with method 1, method 2, method 3, I would recommend going to our website, taking a look at our free course, taking a look at our screen reader cheat sheets, taking a look at that method 1, method 2, method 3, and then coming back to this video and trying to understand why we are going to be using our navigation sequence in combination with those fundamentals. Okay, so this will remain on YouTube. So if you're joining us live and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, that's fine. Stick with us. After this, go back to our website, take a look at our cheat sheets, download them for free, take a look at them, practice with the screen reader, take a look at the course, and then come back to this video and it should make a little bit more sense. Also note that we do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, take a look at our website, come back next week as well. Okay. So let's get started. Let's talk about Google Classroom. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to turn on a screen reader. Sounds good. And I'm going to be working in Google Classroom. Let me get to the right browser here. Let me just make sure that we're starting from the beginning. So let me turn on a screen reader. We are now at the beginning of Google Chrome. Whatever website browser you're using is fine. Obviously, Google Classroom and Google Chrome work very well together. So I'm going to start at the beginning of Google Chrome, and I'm going to open up, let's say, JAWS. Okay, let me open up JAWS. And while that opens, my program focus shifted a little bit.
JAWS Home Manual, left, new tab dash Google Chrome.
Awesome. And hopefully you all can hear the screen reader. If you can't, please let me know in the comment section. What we're going to do is we are going to start off by talking about, from the beginning, what is going to be the navigation routine? What is going to be the sequence that we need to navigate with JAWS to Google Classroom? Okay, this is a routine. This is a sequence. This is something that if you're a student using a screen reader, you are going to do this every single day that you're in class, right? So teaching the routine, teaching the sequence is what we're going to be doing right now, okay? Using that method 1, method 2, method 3. There's a lot of different ways to get to Google Classroom. I'm going to show you one of them. Now, if this method or sequence, if this sequence does not work for your student, there's other ways to do it. That's fine, okay? But I'm just going to go through one sequence, okay? If your student is a good typer, what I would say is I would say that at the very top, you can start to type in, all right, in the address bar, classroom.google.com. And I'm going to do that now.
CLASSROM period GOOGLE period COM.
Of course, when it autocorrects like that, your student will start to realize that they can just press enter after CL.
Selected. Classroom.google.com.
All right.
Do.
And now we are at the very beginning of our Google Classroom. I'm just moving my little Zoom window around. So let me drag this over. Now we're at the beginning of Google Classroom. Now your students, of course, will have dozens of classes, hopefully not, but at least more than 3, right? Each one of those classes is a heading, okay? So when we talk about method 1, method 2, and method 3, method 1 being navigating by clickable object, tab and shift tab, method 2 being quick keys, navigation by specific element type, and method 3, navigation by elements list, this is going to be a quick keys method 2 action. Now, what you would do here is, if you're following along here, you would take out your screen reader cheat sheet. You'd take a look at the screen reader you're using, whether that's NVDA, whether that's JAWS, whether that's Chromebox. You'd go to method 2 and you'd say, okay, I'm trying to find a heading. Boom, heading. I know that's H. Okay. So that's, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, go to our website, get that cheat sheet, and you can follow along with me. I'm going to be using H to go through my classes now. So let me do that now.
Visited link eye.t class options heading level 2 button menu collapsed menu.
And that's my first class. Obviously, I only have one class because this is a dummy account. So if I did have more classes and that wasn't the class that I wanted, let's say I'm trying to go to Spanish, not the IT class, whatever that means, I would press H again. It would go to the next class. Okay. So that's what I mean by using a routine, making a routine, based on those fundamentals. At this point, your learner should already know what method 2 is. So when you're making this routine, you say, hey, guess what? This is a quick keys method 2 step. Let's use H to navigate by headings. Okay. Now I'm already there. I can press enter.
Enter. Course stream. Help.
Awesome. And now we're in Google Classroom. Okay. The next step in our sequence depends on your classroom's routine. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can get a little bit of a wider view
Alert.
here.
Alert.
So I just zoomed out just a tad so we can see everything. This is going to the next step in our routine or our sequence is going to depend on your specific teacher's routine. Now, whether or not the student comes in and does a do now, maybe that's in the stream. Maybe they need to come in and do an assignment. That's going to be in the classwork tab. Whatever your next step is going to depend on each class. Let's say that the teacher, the student walks in and the teacher says, there's an assignment that I just posted. All right. And it's a do know activity and it's a question. I actually just posted a question for myself. So I'm going to see if I can find that. The teacher says, go ahead and answer that question. And the question is, if you had a monkey, what would you name it? Right. I love this question because it's just silly. So what I'm going to do is the next step in my routine is going to be going to the classwork tab, right? If you're familiar with Google Classroom, even if you're not, there are 3 tabs at the beginning of at the top of Google Classroom. You can see them here. The first one is the stream tab, right? I have my mouse right over it, stream. The stream tab is anything that is recent. It's like a news feed, right? So think about Facebook or Twitter. When you open Facebook or Twitter, the most recent, most relevant things are on your feed, right? That's exactly like the stream, okay? The next one is classwork, okay? Classwork is obviously all of the assignments, and they are very organized. As long as the teacher organizes them correctly, they are very, very organized into different sections, okay? And then, of course, there's people, where you can go and email your classmates or your teachers, things like that, communication. Okay. Now, the question is, what method are we going to use to get there? All right. First thing, of course, we want to make sure we understand where we are on the screen. Once you get into Google Classroom, you are right here in the middle. Things are above you. All right. These things are above you: the stream, the classwork, the people, I've heard people call this the waffle, or the screen reader will say Google Classroom, Google Apps button collapsed. All of that is above you. Everything below you is the stream. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to get up to, let's say, classwork if we're trying to access an assignment. Okay. So what we're going to do is this classwork assignment, or a classwork tab, is a link. Okay. If you're familiar with links on a screen reader, it is an unvisited link until, of course, you've visited it before. I've been on this specific Google Classroom before. I know it's a visited link. Therefore, this is going to be a method 2 step. All right. You see how I'm giving you the answer. The next step of this, of making navigation routines, would be to guess which method to use. I'm just giving you the answer, right? This is a method 2. This is quick keys. So I'm going to use V for visited link. All right. I'm going to do Shift and V.
Visited link people.
All right. Shift because it's above me. It's going backwards. Anytime you go backwards on the internet, you add Shift to your key command. All right.
Visited link classwork.
All right. There's my classwork.
Enter.
I'm going to press enter.
Navigation region.
All right. So step 1, we've done headings. We've used method 2 to navigate by headings to get to the right class. Step 2, we are going to use visited links to get up to classwork. Okay. Obviously, if you've not visited classwork before, it's going to be an unvisited link. All right. Now, step 3 is going to, again, be a little bit different. But in this case, we only have 2 assignments here. I can just use the down arrow key, all right, to get to my assignment. I can just use my reading commands to get to my assignment.
Link view your work. Link Google Calendar. Link class drive folder. List of 2 items. Expand tech assignment button collapsed. Assignment. Tech assignment. No due date. Assignment options. Expand if you had a monkey. What would you name it?
All right, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to press enter.
Enter. No topic region. Question.
And now I'm trying to get, step 3 would be, I'm trying to get to the view question link, okay? Now, if you know our courses, you know that if something is close by, all right? If something is close by, you're going to use method 1, Right now I'm on the question. I just need to get to the view question button or view question link. I know that's going to be close by and I know it's going to be clickable. So I'm just going to switch over to method 1 and press tab.
Question options button, view question link, enter. Help and feedback button menu.
Okay. Now I'm inside the question. Step 4 would be to find the edit box because I'm trying to edit, trying to type in something. I'm trying to get to an edit box so that I can type in the answer to this question. If you know about methods 1, 2, and 3, you'll know that this is probably a method 2 as well. Method 2, if you look on your cheat sheet, you're going to go to method 2. We're trying to find edit box. To get to edit box, you press E.
Add class comment.
Okay.
Edit required.
I'm going to press enter there.
Enter.
And if
Main
I had
region.
a monkey, I would probably name it George.
G-E-O-G-E.
Right? Like Curious George.
Enter.
Ooh.
Blank.
At this point, I just pressed enter because I thought it was going to enter it, but it made a new line.
Enter.
Instead, I need to get to the send button. It's clickable. It's close by. I'm going to use method 1.
Post button. Enter.
Enter.
If you have.
Now, I know that's a lot. That's a lot of steps in your routine. Okay. And as we start to release more courses, we are going to start to talk about, we have a course coming up specifically for doing stuff like this. All right. And really breaking it down beyond what I just did. And we're going to talk about how making a do now, how in your service, not just the general ed class, but in your service, you can make a do now where the student answers a question like this and they start to get the sequence because they do it all the time. Okay. The other thing that might have been confusing about this is me jumping back and forth between method 1, method 2, and method 3. I want to take the time right now to kind of show you that, to show you what I'm talking about with method 1, method 2, and method 3. If you go to
New
our
tab
website,
dash Google.
let me take a second
Space.
to
Caps lock off. Space. Speech on demand.
to take off the speech. I'm going to go to our website, itvision.com. If you don't know about our method 1, method 2, and method 3, go to itvision.com, free resources, right? You're going to scroll all the way down to our JAWS cheat sheets, NVDA cheat sheet, Chromevox cheat sheet. In order to get these cheat sheets, you just have to sign up for our free course, all right? What you're going to do when you enroll is you are going to get to My Courses. And in the first module, you are going to have access to all of those cheat sheets. Let's say we're working with JAWS, right? Because we are. Actually, what I can do is I can just zoom in here. You can download this or just read it right off the browser. But when I was talking about method 1, method 2, and method 3, let me take a look. Let's take a look at our navigation side of our cheat sheet. Now, there's a lot of other stuff here, right? There's form fields, tabs, troubleshooting, right? But the main part of these cheat sheets are the method 1, method 2, and method 3, okay? Now, when I say this is a method 2 step, what I'm doing, especially in that first step, when I'm trying to get from class to class, is I'm saying this is a method 2 step. We're trying to find headings. What's the key command? It's H, okay? And that last step, when I'm trying to find an edit field, I was telling you that, I'm saying this is a method 2 step. We're trying to find an edit box. What's the key command, okay? This is for you guys to be able to follow along with me, but also for your students to be able to follow along with you. Now, how are your students able to follow along with this in a PDF? Well, first of all, the PDF is accessible. So you can download it and give it to your students. As long as your students know how to access an accessible PDF, they should be good to go. Now, if your students don't, what you can do is download the Word document, right? So let me download this, make sure it goes to the right folder. Let me put my download folder. And let me open this Word document. Now, this Word document has everything that is on that PDF. So your student can go right to, for example, method 2. All right. They can scroll down. They said, we're finding an edit box. It says next edit box, E. Okay. So that's how they can follow along with you. The final thing that we have is that this is also in a BRF format. So if your student is reading electronic Braille on a Braille note taker, for example, or you're embossing things for them, you can download this BRF. It'll go right to your computer. You can emboss with any embosser that will take a BRF file. So this is not only a way to start using navigation sequences in your own instruction and really planning out your instruction to include navigation sequences like the one that I just showed you with Google Classroom, but it can also be a resource. This can also be a resource that you share with your students. and your students will use to guess the key command or find the key command. Okay. That's kind of the symbiosis, the mesh between teaching the fundamentals, teaching method 1, method 2, and method 3, those ABCs of screen reader instruction, and then moving on to apply them in the navigation sequences that we are doing here in IT Live. Okay. Does that, I'm saying that, does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I will try to my best to answer it. Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the second section of our IT Live episode today, and that's taking data and trying to organize your thoughts as a teacher using these navigation sequences. I'm really, really excited to show you guys this, because this is this is going to be a kind of a sneak preview of some of our upcoming things coming up. Okay. Now, we are super, super, super excited because if you don't know about us, we do have open enrollment periods for courses. Our next open enrollment period will be open on January 15th, if everything goes according to plan. In that open enrollment period, we are going to be releasing a teacher manual version of our first course, where we will be introducing fun activities. We'll be introducing lesson plans. And this is one of our data sheets that we will be introducing. Now, this is not available yet. This is not available yet. So this is just, and it might change as well. All right. Just a sneak preview. But this data sheet 3, routine ready, is the data sheet that we will be introducing in that course to start to transition from those ABCs of Braille instruction. ABCs of technology instruction, of screen reader instruction, to start to transition you to applying them in a routine like the one that we showed you today in Google Classroom. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you that exact sequence that I just showed you, but planning it out on this data sheet. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we have objective 1, objective 2, and objective 3, and objective 4. These at the top of our data sheet are the things that we are working on. This is where you fill in those ABCs of technology instruction that you're working on. Today, we are talking about those ABCs being method 1, method 2, and method 3, right? Navigating by clickable object with tab and shift tab, navigating by quick keys, specific element type, and navigating by elements list, right? Those are the things that we are focused on today. Those ABCs might be different. In future courses, we're going to be talking about navigating by tables, switching modes, right? Switching form field modes with the screen reader. We're going to be talking about navigating form fields. Those are all skills. And if you're wondering what those skills might be, again, you can go to our website. On this free course, I'm still in my free course that you can sign up for. You also have a screen reader skills progression where all of those objectives, all of those ABCs, those standards are written out for you. Right now, you can see I'm right here in phase 3. This is method 1 objective. This is the method 2 objective, and this is the method 3 objective. Today, to shorten it in my data sheet, I'm just going to say method 1, method 2, and method 3. So objective 1, I'm just going to say method 1. And just to make sure we remember what method 1 is, I'm going to say tab/shift tab plus tab, right? What's my second objective that I'm looking for in my navigation sequence? Well, it's quick keys, method 2. Method 2, 2. There we go. Quick keys, right? That's using like H or E to do by specific element type, right? How about method 3? We didn't really cover method 3 in this navigation sequence because method 3 is a little bit more advanced, but I'm going to put it on here anyway. And that's elements list. All right. Now let's take data. Let's start to set this up by taking data on the activity as we just did it. Okay. Now we'll see, as you can see, the next kind of section of this data sheet, we have 10 steps in a routine. As you can kind of tell, we just did, I was saying step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, right? That's a routine. That's where we're going to type in our steps. Now, why are they backwards? On this data sheet, you can tell it starts with step 10, then it goes to step 9, then it goes to step 8, then it goes to step 7. Hold that thought, because it's a really great question, the question that I get all the time when I show people this data sheet. We are going to show you exactly why this is backwards after we fill in all of those steps. So we are going to be filling things in backwards. I want you to know that. I do know that. And you'll see the reason why in a second. So let's fill in this worksheet. But of course, we want to be doing it backwards, right? Let me go back to Google Classroom. Hopefully I didn't exit it. I did not. All right. And since we just did the routine forwards, now we're going to fill in that data sheet backwards. Okay. So what was the last step that I just did? Remember I typed in George and I had to press tab to get to that submit button and press enter. Okay. So what I'm going to do is my step 10 is going to be locate and select submit button. Okay, but like I want to make sure that I say the right words to my learner, and I don't really remember what that submit button said. So you know what? I'm going to turn on my speech. I'm going to get to that submit button and just make sure that the language that I'm using in this data sheet, therefore the language that I'm going to be saying in my instruction, is the same. Let's see.
Full speech. If you had a monkey, classmates will see your answer.
Hold on.
Add class comment. Space. Complementary region. Main region. T. Post button.
Post. Apparently I had to type things in for me to get there, but post. All right. So I'm glad that I checked that, because
Space.
if I had said
speech on demand.
Oops. If I had said submit and my student was looking for the submit button, that's just another barrier. I mean post, right? I meant post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that data sheet. I'm going to say, nope, it's not the submit button. It is the post button. All right. Now, what objective did I use to get there? Well, I used method 1. So I'm going to click on objective 1. You see how that turns yellow, just like the objective up at the top is yellow. That step has now turned yellow so that it signals to me, oh, that's a method 1 skill. Okay. Step 9. Whoops. What did I just do? Control Z to get rid of that. I just moved everything up. So I just did Control Z, didn't do it. Step 9. All right. What did I do? Well, I typed in my answer, right? Typed in answer to my question, to my do now, think about it question, right? Now, what objective did that include? Well, guess what? It didn't include any of my objectives. This is a great example of why I included 4 objectives here. Because then you can just add one. Well, what is that? Typing involves, there's an objective in the screen reader progression about typing alphanumeric keys. I'm going to show you that now. So if I go to the screen reader progression, you can see in phase 2, be able to type with all alphanumeric keys on the keyboard. Okay. I'm going to say that. Type using all alphanumeric keys. Right? And that's a great example of how these skills at the top are blank for a reason. You should be actively changing those skills and changing your routines to make sure that not only are each step in your routine working towards something, working towards a skill, but you're taking data on it. So let me change that. Let me make that type your answer. I'm going to list that as objective 4, the one I just typed in. Type using all alphanumeric keys. Okay. What was the step 8? Well, I had to find the edit box, navigate and activate edit box. Do you remember which method I used? I used method 2, right? Use method 2, right? I went to Google Classroom. I'm going to turn on my speech.
Full speech. Add private.
Let's say I want to get to the next edit box. I'm going to do Shift and E. Oh,
escape.
There we go.
Type your answer, edit. Add class comment, edit.
Add class comment, edit. You know what I just did? I'm commenting in this assignment. I should have been writing in the answer. The same, and this is important why you go through it. My mistake. But the same idea goes for it, is instead of commenting, I want to be writing my answer in here. So let me get to the your answer.
Type your answer, edit. Space.
Space.
Type your answer, edit.
Or enter to activate. I'm going to press George.
G-E-O-R-G-E. Turn in button.
Turn in.
Enter.
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 Turning in.
Task switching.
Now, of course, I want to.
Step 10.
Step 10 still.
Space. Speech on demand.
Still is the the right objective, but it's not the post button anymore. I made a mistake. It is the turn in button. Okay. So I want to make sure that I change that so I remember. Type your answer, navigate, and activate the edit box named. What was that edit box named? Your answer, right? What did we use to do that? Was it method 1, method 2, or method 3? Well, we used E, method 2, right? Quick keys. All right. So you can see how I'm starting to fill this in. All right. For the sake of time and for questions, I'm going to stop here. And you can start to see how I can navigate. I can go all the way to the beginning of this routine in order to take data on my learner. Now, what does taking data look like? Well, student comes in. Let's say the student comes in tomorrow. I'm going to say Wednesday, the 2nd. And let's say that they do this routine. Okay, so they do this routine forwards, right? So let's say they navigate to the edit box. Well, they can give them an A for attempted but not completed, P for completed but needed prompting, or C, completed. Okay, let's say they completed that task, right? Then P, then A, all right? The beautiful thing, I don't know why that's formatted incorrectly. Again, this is just a sneak preview, so I'm sure that'll be fixed. The beautiful thing is that then below this line, all that data is compiled with all of the objectives and everything. So that's really, really cool, okay? Now, let's get back to why are my steps in backwards order? Well, because backwards chaining in a routine is a really, really effective way to slowly introduce a routine to your learner. So what does backwards chaining means? Pretty much instead of teaching that learner the routine forwards, instead of doing it the first way that I showed you, for example, if I'm on the beginning of Google Classroom, or I'm sorry, Google Chrome, and the first step, remember, was I went to my address bar and I typed in Google Classroom, classroom.google. Instead of starting there, it's much more effective to start the other way around, where I'm typing in my answer maybe, and then pressing turn in, right? I get my learner all the way through the routine. I get them all the way to the point where they are typing their answer, typing the answer to their question, and pressing turn in, right? And then guess what happens? You can move on to the rest of your lesson, right? There's no break. What will happen is if I do it forwards, let's imagine I am going to teach them forwards. A new learner, we're going to say we're doing a new routine. We're doing a new navigation sequence for a do now. We're going to start with step 1, classroom.google.com. If they do get the step and press enter, well then, okay, we have to break routine. I have to grab their laptop. I have to either run through the entire routine for them, or they have to struggle through it, right? Which is unfortunate. It's so much more effective to go backwards. And the reason that data sheet is backwards is to kind of prompt a backwards chaining sequence. So the first step you're gonna teach is step 10, typing in your answer, turning it in. I'm sorry, pressing that turn in button. The second step is typing that answer in. The third step is navigating and activating the edit button. All right, and this is a natural sequence. The routine does not have to be taught in one session, okay? As we start to finish up here, I just want to reiterate that this is a great example, and I know I said multiple learning management systems, not just Google Classroom, but this is a great example of how using method 1, method 2, and method 3, right, our ABCs, whatever those may be, in this case, those navigation methods, using those to start to create a navigation sequence that your learner can follow. That's no matter if you're learning, if you're using Google Classroom, no matter if you're using Schoology, no matter if you're using Canvas, they all work the same way, okay? As we start to move into different apps, you'll see that some apps don't work the same way. Some apps don't use method 1, method 2, and method 3. Some apps use different principles, right, on the internet, right? Like Google Drive, right, uses totally different principles than those 3 navigation methods. But learning management systems in general, the 3 that I just named, Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, they all use basic internet navigation. And this is a great way of, if you are struggling to make a lesson involving Google Classroom, starting with the ABCs, making sure your learners understand those 3 methods, and then starting a navigation sequence, with Google Classroom, with Schoology, or with Canvas, that is the best way to go. Okay. And again, it's not going to happen overnight. It has to happen incrementally over time. The question I always get nowadays is, can I do this virtually? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can do it virtually. There's no reason that you can't do it virtually. The only thing I would say is that if you do it virtually, it's at some point, the instruction is going to fall apart, and that's okay, right? At some point, you're going to have a session where you've done nothing but wait for the kid to type in their password. That's okay, all right? It happens to the best of us. It does get better with persistence, with consistency, with with just continuous trial and error. It gets better. Okay. But I don't want you to freak out if you're saying, oh, we tried that. It was one session. It was awful. It didn't work. Yeah, me too. Me too. There's sessions where I come away and I'm like, oh my goodness, that was terrible. Just keep going, keep doing the routine, keep trying. And those sessions virtually will start to get better. Okay. Same thing with all technology instruction. It will get better. Okay. Last little piece. If you do want more information about about number one, that data sheet that I was filling out, right? This routine ready data sheet. If you want to figure out how to do this, if you want a copy of this data sheet, sign up for our free course, make an account at itvision.com. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And this will be available later, very early to the beginning of next year, right? January 15th. Okay. So if you do want that, absolutely sign up. Now, how do you sign up? Well, you go to itvision.com, right? I'm going to just do this all over again just to make sure. You're going to go to itvision.com. It's EYETVVISION.com. You're going to get right here. All right. If you're not signed in, right? Let me do it as just somebody that's not signed in. Let me do it as a guest. All right. So I'm going to go to itvision.com. I'm going to get here. Now this looks a lot different, right? I'm going to go to sign up, right? You're going to put in your name, your email address. You're going to make a password. You're going to say, I agree, sign up. There's no commitment. It's absolutely free. Once you have an account with us, it's going to look like this. You're going to be able to go home. You're going to go to My Courses, All Courses, view our course catalog. And of course, you'll have that free resources tab. I suggest to everybody that just start with the free resources, okay? Don't go to the course catalog and see if you can. Just start with the free resources. Now, of course, we have our online courses at the top. The first one is free. The second one is paid. Don't worry about it. And we have some coaching opportunities, 15-minute consultation. I'll talk to you about the consultation in a second. But then we have all of our free resources. We're going to be adding more and more of these over Christmas break. We've been working with some partners on making these cheat sheets in Spanish. So that's really cool. And those are going to be up later in the year. And then if you go down to free videos, we have all of our free videos, YouTube videos, not just ours. We have some from Google. And if you do have free resources that you want us to put up, things that are going to help your colleagues, please submit them using this form. Just put in your email address, put your name. We're asking for some information about you, and then just upload it. We'll take a look at it. We'll email you, and then we'll put it up on the free resources website. This whole page, just this page, is trying to get people the tools they need to provide technology instruction to students with visual impairments virtually. Okay. So if you have colleagues that are struggling with this, if you yourself are struggling with this, go to the free resources page, take a look at our free resources, and help us try to build this page as a resource for our colleagues out there. If you do have any questions and you're watching the live session, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Even if I do not see them after we go live, I will be able to comment on YouTube. So feel free to put a comment. Also, if you are starting with us and you want a very specific question, at the bottom of our homepage, so this is our homepage, right? The very bottom, you can go to our request for consultation form. All you do is fill in your email address, some information. We ask a few questions, and at the very end, you can schedule a time online to get a 15-minute consultation with me to see if I can help you answer some questions. I've gotten so many consultations, so many questions across the country that are really, really, really important questions that we need to be talking about. If that's you, if you're struggling, fill out the form and request a consultation. No commitments, no fees. It's totally free. It's just a way for me to start to figure out what you guys need so that I can make content for you all. Thank you so much, first of all, for last of all, thank you so much for attending. If you are attending live, let me see. I got some comments here. Perfect. I love it. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for attending our live session. Today, our third episode of IT Live. We do this every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we really appreciate you all joining. We'll be posting this on YouTube, on our Facebook group, AT for VI for Professionals, at the end of this with a description. And continue to reach out to us for whatever you all need. I really appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week.